Hey everyone, I just thought I'd record a video and give you all the updates for everyone who's been wondering. We're fine. I did have to send my dad home last week because I was getting worried. He's smack dab in the middle of the highest risk group, of course, with his 70 plus years. We also finally figured out what's wrong with my son, who's been sick for the last 3 months. Turns out after a spinal tap, they looked at his brain fluids and he has Lyme's disease, so he's undergoing IV treatment of antibiotics for the next 30 days. But thank God we've got some closure and at least we know what's going on. As for the project, everything is moving forward. We're experiencing a few delays here and there from anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. But for the Justice Mobile, I do hope that I will be able to get the first very few ones by the end of April out there, and the rest will probably be around July. We made the final tweaks that I will discuss later in the video to show you based on your feedback. And right now, the industrial quality molds are being made by the supplier. Maybe they're going to be done in the next few days, then they're going to be sent to me, and then production can continue. So we're still moving forward, and the steps are being taken. We were, of course, also working on the slate for 2021. Now you've seen the signal, the 15-inch Searchlight with the metal logos of the 6 different bat silhouettes that we've known for the most important eras, and one for the game. Also the moisture Vaporator, and part 2 of the Falcon cargo hold is finally being made. So that's coming up for 2021. And based on your feedback, we'll either be making the Bat Cave, the computer setup that I'm going to overlay on the screen right now. And there's a few other things in the works based on your feedback. Of course, it's a catch-22. If we can't get the support that you've been giving us, we can't get the stuff made. So please let us know, because we need your continued support to stay alive. We don't have any fat on our bones. So thanks, and here are the updates on the current products and the upcoming products. Okay, so for more updates about the current projects like the Justice Mobile, stay tuned to the end. But first, this one I am most excited about. It's going to be huge. It's going to be epic. This is literally going to be the biggest Searchlight in 1/6 scale that's ever been done, because it's based on a World War II Searchlight that we've been able to figure out. And that one had a 60-inch dish diameter, which means it's a 10-inch dish diameter in 1/6 scale. Here you see the basic World War II version, but we're going to include, of course, all the extra cool detailing, the metal logos, and that kind of a foot design. And so you'll be able to swap out the logos, and the more people we get on board, the more parts we can make from metal. And even though this thing is going to be 15 inches tall, all said, so it will fit inside a Detolf, we can offer this for $249. So anyone who can, please get on board. You have 18 months to pay it off until 2021 if you want. So please stick with us, and on to the next project. All right, so up next, one of the upcoming projects. One of the advantages of the current situation is that I have a lot of time behind the computer for the next projects. And look at the very cool detail on the very iconic moisture evaporator, very ubiquitous design that you can see in pretty much any Star Wars movie. The only one I couldn't think I saw one was in Empire Strikes Back. I think it was in all the other 8, and of course in the very cool Mandalorian. With all the upcoming Mandalorian figures, this is going to be very cool. And we can do the same thing that they did on the set. Basically have one design, and then with just different construction, like detaching these poles, detaching this part, or maybe leaving out this part, and mixing and matching the parts, you can get pretty much any variation you see. And so if you order several, like many of you have, get several configurations going. And of course, you can use parts of it so that it will fit inside a D-Tolf, because of course they did make smaller variations with these parts, so it works in many different display environments, different sizes, getting different configurations. And so that's why we were able to do this at a very low price, even though this thing is pretty tall, at about 60 centimeters. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. And like I said, we're going to make this modular so that you can use it in different display environments, different sizes, different looks. And of course, let me overlay a picture to show the different configurations and the very cool weathering paint you can expect from us. Okay, so let's look at the changes for the Justice Mobile, the final changes. As a reference, I've opened quite an older file, this one versus this one. As you can see, we've changed the rotation and the threads on the tires to be accurate. We've increased the number of details here on the back and here, as you can see, that were missing in an older version. We've also increased the diameter of this tube as requested. Looking at the size, we've added these engravings that were missing on the old version. Let me look at the sides here. As you can see, there were some engravings, but not all of them. We've also made changes to this part here. Let me show you. The bottom still looks cool, but we've made a few cool changes that will allow us to, let's look at the right file here, to get a little bit more arm room and leg room, because as I have explained before, but for those who missed it, it's very hard to get a 6 scale figure inside a vehicle to look like a normal person inside, because the normal person is of course much more flexible and has some give. Same goes for the chair. You just don't have that with a 6 scale figure and vehicle. So you have to find a way to cheat a little bit to make it look natural without it just becoming inaccurate. So we found a way to get a bit more arm room, to get a little bit more height out of the chair by messing a little bit with the bottom. And I think it looks very convincing now. We've also made a way, some changes, by the way, to make the going back and forth between the standard BVS version and the Justice League version with the kit easier. So yes, for everyone who's been asking, you can go back and forth as you wish. And for those, of course, who bought several vehicles to have them displayed in the different options, yes, you can do the Suicide Squad version, you can do the BVS version and the Justice League version as you wish. Let's see, we've also added some detail here that was missing in the earlier version, as you can see, but that was then mirrored here, which was of course wrong. So in the final version that has gone to the mold makers, this is what you'll be getting. We've also increased the strength of the suspension, the front suspension and axes, actual metal parts, by the way, used for the axles and the suspension and all that. All right, so same goes for the Justice League upgrade version. Going back and forth, you see many of the same changes, including the tires, the different engravings and details, but also some other changes to get like the position of the blast shield better, more details in the big anti-tank gun. Look at the changes we've made here to get the correct angle and like the swoop of this line correct. And of course the detailing on here too. So basically, well, I think it's going to look epic when it's done, and I cannot wait to get it into your hands. So things are moving forward very nicely. On to the next bit. So another thing that we're able to do very well right now, of course, is in a very well ventilated paint booth. So I'm working on the paint for the very final batch of the land speeder. We were quite overwhelmed by the success. So anyone who wants in on this final batch, do it sooner rather than later. All right, so thanks for sticking with me so far. It's already quite a long video, so I will be making more updates in the next week, maybe 2 weeks. Upcoming is the 1989 Batwing update, and of course the 1966, the Falcon cargo hold and all that very cool stuff. So stay tuned.